good to be back here again. Welcome to you all, both in the Zoom room, and welcome to those of you who are watching live via the Facebook or maybe watching later on. Really good to see you all. So let me just tell you what's coming up on this 1,858-day show today. Can you believe it that we've got this far? But before I do, why don't we just see who we've actually got in the room? So sending a big hello to Jojo, first of all, who, of course, is our creator of this wonderful platform. We're saying hello to Ariana. Hi, Trish in Victoria, BC. Nan in Hogan, Michigan. Nancy, Washington State. Pauline and William in Newcastle. Woohoo! Arlene in Berkeley, California. Hoda in British Columbia. Anne in Knoxville, Tennessee. Susan Fresno, California. Susan G, Cincinnati. Delhi in MD. Christine G, Arlington, I'm not sure. Kim, Vancouver Island. Mary Best. Neil in Boston. Bonnie Boys. Sue in Seattle. Marion in Brighton. Woohoo! We're going there tomorrow, playing in Brighton tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow, Friday. Gary, hello to you in Massachusetts. Also to Athena in Brooklyn, Harriet, Chicago, Kathleen in Albuquerque, Kate Galloway, Chris Parnell, Linda, Orcas Island, Kathy, Denver, Sarah in Texas, Anne in Nashville, Tennessee, Annette in California, Ruth in Birmingham. Hello, Linda. Sorry, I have a particular affinity to people in the UK, of course. Bernae in Berkeley, California, Emma in Norwich, yes, Caroline in DC, Fred in Silver Spring, Katie, Maryland, Nancy in Vermont, Bob and Mabel in Bears, Massachusetts, Bob Gasser. Sorry if I've said your name incorrectly. Terry Shaw, Kat Cox, Carolyn in Boys ID, Storm, Lynn and Cliff in VT, Linda Benua, I hope I've said that correctly. Apologies if I haven't. Kim, Vancouver Island, Gloria, Massachusetts, and Olga. And do we have more people that I'm missing? Let me just go through. Who have I maybe not said? Terry Shaw, Kat Cox. I think I've said everybody. Elizabeth, California, Sarah in Santa Cruz, Kate Carnan, Jenny in Suffolk. Hello, Louise in Devon. Hello, Penny in Victoria. Marcia, Ontario. Dick and Kathy, Victoria. Karen in Oregon. Audrey, wish you luck. Carol J and Ray. I think I've got it all. I think I've said your name, and it's really good to see you all. Thank you for being here. And thank you too to our wonderful guest today. I should introduce myself just in case those of you have not seen me before. Melissa James, I'm coming from London, England, Southwest London to be precise. And I have spoken to our wonderful guests before, so I'm really glad to be back speaking to them again. We have in the house Pat and Sandy, aka Emma's Revolution. Hello, guys. How are you?
Oh,
well, great to be with you all.
We're so happy to get to see you again and to get to cheer with you for all the folks joining from the UK. That was super fun.
That feels like more than usual. That's really good.
I agree. I think you're drawing them in. It's lovely.
So, what are you going to do for us?
Well, we thought we would just follow up on the celebrations that some of you all might have been at this weekend, that we're celebrating what would have been the 106th birthday of our dear friend Pete Seeger. And we wanted to sing a song. Yeah, we can all shout for Pete. Yeah, sending love wherever he is, because he's left behind so much love and strength and courage in these times for those of us still here. And we thought we would do a song that we imagine many of you know, and you heard it when you were coming in the room.
And this is the first time actually we get to perform this with you all, playing it on the baritone guitar as it was meant to be played, because Pete's 12-string, that big 12-string that he used to play, was a baritone. So this is great fun for me to play this song on this guitar. Yeah. Everything turn
to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. Do everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. Do everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to love, a time to hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. Do everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time of hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late.
Oh, thank you. I love that song. Thank you so much. Look at the
I'm so
waves of
glad.
hands. Thank you. And it's been a long time since I've heard that song, actually, or even
Yeah,
thought about it.
and I wanted to say that we do the birds version, right? The
Okay.
BYRDS version, birds. But
Yeah.
because Pete did it a little more, well, it had a little bit of a quirkier rhythmic tempo, right? A meter. I thought you used to tell me it was that. But in any case, the birds are the ones who kind of kicked it up with that dun, 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 and kind of made it like in a folk rock song of the 60s. So I always loved that song. And I think that, the things that I've been thinking about with Pete in terms of this time, and probably folks may have seen this on social media. There's a story going around about how Pete was in Barcelona during the time of the Franco dictatorship. And the people had brought him in to do a concert, and he was at a stadium. 100,000 people were waiting for him to go on stage. And while he was tuning up in the backstage and preparing to go on, the police, the dictatorship military police came in, and they handed him a list, and they said, these are the songs you cannot sing. You are not able, you're not allowed, it will be illegal for you to sing these tonight.
Right.
And,
Okay.
yeah, and he looked at that list, and he looked up at them, and he said, well, this looks an awful lot like what I was
my
going to
set
be
list.
singing this evening. And he said, but okay. And he went out on stage with his banjo, and he held up the piece of paper, and he said, they told me that I couldn't sing these songs tonight, but they didn't say you couldn't sing them.
Ooh,
And
wow.
So he stood there and played the melodies played the chords to all those songs, and 100,000 people in that stadium sang those songs
Wow.
that night in
Wow.
defiance of the dictator.
What a great story. When was that story?
I don't know exactly what year that was. Somebody can
early 50s or
probably
something like
look that up during the fascist dictatorship.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
we need those
That's amazing.
stories.
We need
Yeah.
those stories. We need those people as
Yes.
well. We need both. Yeah, absolutely. And, sometimes, it's when I'm feeling scared of, whatever might be happening, whether it's in the wider world or something, even just in my own life, things that I'm doing that are part of my own changes that I have to call upon. And literally, I will say, well, Melissa, let's just think about your ancestors and some of the things they did.
Yeah.
Do you really think that what you're going through now is even slightly comparable to some of the things that they faced? And that gives me strength, so we do need to hear stories like this, I think, to both empower us and also to remind us of how great we really can be, when we put our heart into a cause. What
Yeah.
is it? I don't know if you will be able to answer this question, because I think about this a lot in relation to myself. But do you think there was a time or a moment when you remember becoming activized?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a yes for both of us. I also want to, I saw that JoJo put in that it was in
Yeah.
the 1970s that
It
that
was
happened.
that recent.
And that's exactly how I
Yeah.
felt seeing that number pop
Yeah.
up. Like, okay, I was a kid in the 70s, but I would have thought that terrible things like this with dictators and, with Pete having to really show that courage that he showed would have been back from,
Yeah.
much closer to the
Brilliant.
wars.
Yeah.
But so thank you for putting that
Yeah.
But
date in
but
JoJo.
But just to say, I mean, I would expect that maybe in 40, 50 years from now, there will be people who are looking back on this time and also naming somebody and saying, can you believe that's what it
Yeah.
only happened then, so it's throughout time, isn't it? You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Yeah, we all have to be that person in whatever context that we're in.
Absolutely.
We might not have access to 100,000 people, but the people that we do have access to, we can make a
Doesn't matter.
difference with.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell
Yeah.
me about the time that you feel like you became activized, that first moment.
Yeah. For me, it was actually when the students were killed at Kent State, and we just passed the May 4th. They were killed in May 4th, 1970, on the campus at Kent State University in Ohio. And we just passed the 55th anniversary of those killings. And I was just 10 years old at the time, but my older sisters had gone to college there, and I had stayed with them in their dorm, and they graduated just prior to that. But the dorm that they lived in was Prentice Hall, and two of those students that were killed on campus were killed in the Prentice Hall parking lot. So when I came home from school, from elementary school, and saw scenes of the campus that I knew very well by then, visiting my sisters on campus and staying with them in that dorm for Little Sis weekend, it felt very, very personal. And to hear the governor of my state saying that these students were no worse than the brown shirts. I didn't even know what brown shirts were at the time. I didn't know that they were communist youth. And I thought my sisters aren't that, and weren't that when they were there. And my next older sister was scheduled to start school the fall after the killings. So that was a huge political awakening for me. And though it didn't manifest, in this until a little bit later, it was very much, it set the stage for what was to happen in
And
my life.
when did sorry, and when did that then start to transfer across to your music?
When I was actually just out of high school. In fact, I went to college at Kent State. I went on 8 years after the killings there. I went to school there. And it was really during that time while I was in school there, walking those hills, watching, moving through those places where those students had demonstrated that day against the Vietnam War, that it really started to sink into me um, that my work needed to have more of a message to it. I was already a musician. I was playing music from the time I was a junior in high school, um, but it occurred to me that I needed to write about what was happening for me. So
Wow. Wow. Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Now, I guess we want to be able to hear another song. I know that you're going to
Yeah, let
bring
me
another
tell,
song.
I'll tell you a little bit about my story just because I think
Oh,
you
yes, yes, sorry.
particularly are going to be, that's okay. I think you're particularly going to be excited about a piece of it. But for me, it was the political awakening for me was being a girl in the culture that I was in, including in my family, and being very aware of how differently I was treated than how my brother was treated, both in my family but outside of my family too. And one of the particular things I remember as a kid is, you know how there was a cereal box and you could like read the cereal box while you were having breakfast and stuff, you know, there were pictures and whatever. And they had some kind of contest about where you could win a bike. And they had like a little boy and a little girl picture of them, but the bike that they showed was a boy's bike. And this is how literal kids can be, because they're actually seeing things. And I remember saying, they don't really want the girls to win because they're only showing a boy's bike. And as much as that might seem like, isn't that funny, haha, there's some truth in that representation matters, and we've learned so much about how representation matters. And so I started writing songs, and in college, and my songs also had a feminist bent. And one of the early times that they came into direct play for activism was when I was living in London, in fact. And I was looking for something to do, and I saw this notice in the Time Out magazine about an exhibit of artwork done by girls, answering the question, who works for me, mummy, sister, auntie? Who does the work in your family? So I went to see the exhibit, and there was all these drawings of these girls about, you know, whose maybe their mom was back in their home country and they were cooking the food for the 6 and 10 and 8 kids and family members in their family who were already in the UK, things like that. And I wrote a song called Time Off for Women and sang it at an event organized by the group that organized that exhibit called the International Wages for Housework Campaign. And they are still based in London, and they do amazing work about having women's unwaged work valued in the GDPs of the countries, and have it go towards women earning a pension, for instance, whereas otherwise women who worked in the home had nothing to retire on. So there's a UK shout out.
Wow.
The International Wages for Housework Campaign.
Wow, amazing. I'm intrigued to know where in London you were.
I lived in Wanstead at the end of the Red Line, Red Tube. Yes. And,
yeah.
They were in, gosh, it starts with a C and I can't remember. It's sort of more downtown. It's not Camden, but anyway, I don't remember.
Okay, we could be all day trying to figure out. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah,
I think it's a really interesting thing, because as I said, it is something that I think about a lot. Like, when did it start for me?
Right. I wondered that for you.
Yeah.
When did it start? Yeah. Would you like to say anything about that? When it started for you?
Gosh, well, my mum was always going on about, you know, she was always saying, oh, well, you're Black, you have to work 3 times as hard to go, you know, half as far. And but I think maybe the first point was when, and I wasn't registering at this time, but I just remember my mum saying, I was with her and we were in a supermarket, and she was like, no, don't buy stuff from South Africa, because they're really, you know, they're mistreating the Black people, are really mistreated there. And so I think that kind of must have been the beginning of a seed. But it's funny, because I've started asking myself this question, but at the point when I started asking it, it was because I felt, you know, I hadn't been very much of an activist. And now when I think about it, a friend of mine who I've been friends with since the age of 11, we went to the same school together, and she said, oh God, you always were. When we were going for jobs, you know, for a Saturday job in school, you were the one that said to me, don't write your cultural heritage on it, because they could use it against you, you know. It's like that, you know. So, but I just didn't really think about that. But now I think back, I see all the where I was just like, what do you mean? You know. So yeah. Wow. Sorry, go on.
No, thank you for sharing that.
It's
so important, I think, for us to give each other and all of us space to say how we've become who we are, especially when we have that kind of awareness.
Absolutely.
And also we learned something else, right? Maybe there's some awareness that we needed to learn from hearing each other's stories. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I'm completely agree with that. Okay, well, I'm aware, you know, I could talk all day, but let's hear, are you doing another Pete Seeger song?
No, we're doing
This is a song that I started, I was with Pete actually as he passed, and this is the song
Were you
that
really?
yeah, that
Wow.
that started to come to me. Yeah, we were very dear friends for close to 30 years. And
Wow.
so this is the song that started to come to me, that I started to write in those moments, and then in that day after. And Sandy helped me finish it. So
Just before you do that, was there anything that you wanted to mention? I was very intrigued, by the way, just to see that you've got a film coming out. I was like, oh my goodness, they have a film. I need to find out about that. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, or do you have something particular that you want to just let us all know about?
I think that's a great idea. Thank you. We do have a
yes.
show coming up on Cape Cod on May 31st. We're playing Davis Pride on June 7th. So folks can check out whatever we're doing on our website. And there is a documentary being made about us, and it's a grassroots project. So it's he's 60% done editing it and
Wow.
90% done shooting
Filming.
it, and
Yeah.
we are about 55% done funding it. So, and what that means is if you would like to be part of helping to make this film about our music and resistance journey and work for the past 20 plus years, we would really appreciate your support. And all of that's on our website at emmasrevolution.com. And
We have about $46,000 left to raise, and that story of our connection, both my connection and our connection to Pete, will be part of the film, as will be many other stories about where we've been these almost 24 years.
yeah.
Wow. Well, I look forward to hearing more about that. And I'll look up, I will look up some more details because I just saw it briefly as I was walking along the street and listening to some more of Emma's Revolution music because I was making my way here. But yeah, okay. So let's hear this song then, please.
Sure. And
Great.
we know that we've sung it here a number of times, so folks probably already know it, but please drop in on the chorus with us.
When I was four, I had a toy made of plastic and of joy. Magic musical machine from a drum, a stick, and strings. I couldn't know as I would play. I'd live to meet the man one day, playing the songs that shaped my life and taught the world to sing. Oh, hear the banjo ring. Hear the people sing. Hope changes everything. Sing, people, sing. The summer of my 18th year, in San Francisco he'd appear. I jumped onto a trolley car, alone and wondering. The grove was full when I got there. People came from everywhere. I climbed a redwood by the stage to watch the reveille. Oh, hear the banjo ring. Hear the people sing. Hope changes everything. Sing, people, sing. Years went by, I got a call, a festival in early fall, along the Hudson River shore, a harvest gathering, asking me to volunteer to keep the river clean and clear, to celebrate the river's life and all the gifts she brings. Oh, hear the banjo ring. Hear the people sing. Hope changes
Sing, people, sing. Sing, people, sing.
Oh, that is a beautiful song. I just love that. That is such a lovely song. I'd love to know what specifically it was that maybe sparked it, if you think you know. What in that moment as you were with Pete, and I don't know if you could you see that he was coming towards the end of his time, and what was it that then brought this to you?
Well, I of course when I far and was very by the band, the melding of important to me, and I never really imagined that that I would ever meet him or that we would be friends, and when that happened, largely a couple of circumstances where we ran into one another, but we really got to know one another through the People's Music Network when I was in my 20s, and got he was very intrigued when I wrote the song "Keep on Moving Forward," and he said it was the best song he'd heard in 50 years, and I was really touched by that, and we communicated and stayed in touch, and then I happened to be able to be there at his bedside, and I was there when he actually passed, and I just everything crystallized for me in that moment, that how important it was for me to have crossed paths with him, but more importantly to get that it now was partly my job to continue in that trajectory, and to follow in those footsteps, and continue putting out that message of justice and peace, and community, love for one another, caring about people, compassion.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. That was really lovely. I really enjoyed that. And I think I speak for everybody else here and outside of the room, and everybody who might be listening or watching later on. Thank you so much for bringing that song through and then sharing it with us. Isn't music such a gift? It's such a gift. Honestly, I think about it again. I think a lot, and I'm often just thinking, music just such a gift. I'm so glad that I'm a music creator, and that I just think it's such a blessing, and then to have a space like this where music is that's the thing that's actually brought us into this space. And so many, we've heard all the various places that many people are coming from today and every day who join here. And it's because of the music and the people who make that. And the thing that is the glue that pulls us all together. It is undeniably so powerful. Yeah, and it's such a privilege to be in the same space with you guys again, who make the music that you do. So thank you so much. If you ever come to London, please let me know.
Absolutely.
We need to do that. We
Yeah,
need to do that.
I
And
would love that.
that would be amazing.
I
And
would
I do
love.
want to I want
Yes.
to shout out your very beautiful and powerful music. And you said you're coming to Norwich on Friday. So hopefully, is that where you said you're going, Norwich? For
Oh,
Friday?
Brighton. I'm going to be in Brighton.
Brighton.
To Brighton.
Brighton. Yeah, I'm going to be in Brighton as part of the Brighton Fringe, which is quite
Oh,
exciting.
Oh,
oh,
that's
that's
great.
awesome.
Fringe performance. Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to do that. And I love Brighton anyway. I go all the time because it's by the sea and you can't keep me away from the water.
Agreed. Agreed. I totally agree. I also wanted to just let folks know that as much as like we're bringing something to join and sing with you all, the fact that you want to sing brightens our day and is why we keep coming back to the Daily Antidote, and it's actually why we're here in this. You might see we're not where we usually are, but we have a group of friends who come to Big Sur every year and to do music together, to just sing together for each other. And we happen to be coming up the coast, and so we made this trek, which is a beautiful trip out across, and you can see the edge of the continent, which always sort of blows my mind. And so that's why we're coming to you from right near some redwood trees. In fact, while we were singing about redwood trees, I was thinking about
Oh, wow.
and yes,
Oh,
and thank goodness technology works, and we've got the computer on top of a soup pan upside down. I mean, it's worth it, right? To figure out how to do this, and
it
so that we can sing with you.
Oh, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And it's just made me think, I must message you. I hope you don't mind, because
Well,
there's a
please.
place I want to come to play at called, is it called the Chapel or something?
Yeah, in San Francisco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, so I'm going to message you
Okay,
actually.
oh,
please
So,
do.
do.
Please do.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah,
yeah,
We'd
wonderful.
love to see you.
Yeah,
yeah.
we would love
All
to help make
right.
that happen if we can. Yes, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank
Honestly,
you.
my heart feels that much more open after having that
Agreed.
session and that time and being part of this space again. And yeah, just wonderful. Thank you. It's really good to be in connection with you. And I think again, I say that thank you on behalf of everybody that's here and on behalf of Joe, who puts this fantastic thing together every day. I really don't know how you manage to do that, but thank you. Um,
We're very grateful. Thank you,
We've
Joe.
seen
Thank you,
JoJo do her
Busy.
thing, and she does
Yes.
a lot of
yeah, yeah.
hummingbird in the background so that this beautiful thing can happen. And by hummingbird, you've seen hummingbirds, right? They move fast, they make a lot of stuff
Do.
happen.
They do. They do. That is a really good analogy. Absolutely. Yeah. Moves very fast. She makes the spin. The way I just listening to her, never mind actually seeing what she does. So yeah, thank you so much. And I hope to cross paths with you in person, but again,
We look
virtually
forward to it.
this space. And there's just time
Love you all.
as we heading away heading towards the end of this session, just to let you know what we've got coming up. We've had so far this week, well, we've just heard from Emma's Revolution, which has just been oh wow, just a really inspiring session for me to be able to be a part of. But earlier in the week, we had Juan Diaz, and on the 6th, yesterday, that was my mum's birthday. Shout out to my mum. We had sorry, say his name again. Say their name for me, please, Joe. I should have written it down.
Book
Book,
Emissaire coming in
book.
from Montreal. It was Benoit and his son, Antoine.
Oh, wow. I love these parent and son and parent daughter duos. We've got another one upcoming, right? So on May the 11th, we have Val Mindell and Emily Miller, another mother and daughter duo joining us. We have Babui, is that it? Babui and Shruti, of course, who we're used to seeing here, beautiful singer and host. We also have Colleen Katau. Is it Katau or Kator on May 9th?
Yep.
Yep, and Jaeger and Reed, who will be joining us tomorrow. So no reason to stop tuning into this. We are here for you every day, and we've got each other and this platform, which is a beautiful thing. So do keep coming back and encouraging others to join us as well. So just finally, for me to say a big goodbye to all of those of you who are watching outside of the Zoom room space via Facebook Live or later on, if that's what you're doing. And also to say a big goodbye to those of you in the room. So take a deep breath. Ariana in LA, Trish, Victoria, to Nancy, Washington State, Pauline and William in the UK, Arlene in Berkeley, California, Susan Fresno in California, Susan G, Cincinnati. We've got, I can't see names because the number's covering the name, but oh, I'm so sorry, but you're in Arlington, Vancouver. Crispin, maybe? Neil, sorry, I'm so sorry. Neil, Boston, Bonnie Boys in Idaho, Sue in Seattle, Marion in Brighton. Yes! See you on Friday. Athena, Brooklyn, Kathleen, Albuquerque, Chris in Victoria, Sarah in Texas, Linda, California, Bernay in Berkeley, California, Caroline in DC, Fred, Silver Spring, Bob and Mabel Bears, Bob, Albany, New York. Then on to the next page, we have Kat Cox and Carolyn and Boys in Idaho, Storm in the Zoomiverse, Linda, Massachusetts, Jamie, Victoria, Louise in Devon, yes, Lynn and Cliff in Vermont, Aloysius, I hope I've said your name correctly, apologies if I haven't, in Massachusetts, Gary in Massachusetts, Kathy in Denver, Ruth in Birmingham, Birmingham. Why did I say Birmingham? Birmingham, Delhi in MD, Sue's in Burlington, Vermont, Katie, Maryland, and Nashville, Tennessee, Liana, Liana or Liana, apologies if I've not said your name correctly, in VT, Annette in California, Marianne, Kim, Vancouver Island, Gloria, Massachusetts, Elizabeth, California, Sarah, Santa Cruz, Kate, Grass Valley, California, Jenny in Suffolk, hello, Penny, Victoria, Marcia in Ontario. Then we go on to the third page and we have Lynn and Cliff in Vermont, Aloysius, we've said hello and goodbye to you, Gary, Massachusetts, Kathy in Denver, Gary, yes, where are we going? Ruth, Birmingham, we said that, Delhi MD, Suze, we've said you, Anne, Nashville, Tennessee. Everything's jumping around and I can't quite see. And there's a name that I can't see, but you're in VT. I'm sorry, I can't see your name. Annette, California, Marianne, Kim, Vancouver Island, Gloria, Massachusetts, Elizabeth, California, Sarah, Santa Cruz, Kate, Grass Valley, Jenny in Suffolk. I'm sure I've said some of these already. Penny, Victoria, Dick and Kathy, Victoria, BC, Carol J in CT, Ray, Joe's mom in NT. Oh, right, hello. And Moon, Alexandra, Virginia, and Curly Tops in VT. And finally, a big thank you and a goodbye to Jojo. And thank you for continuing to make this platform one so accessible and open and welcoming to so many people on a daily basis. We thank you. Thank you all. Go well and have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm Melissa James, coming from London, England, and I'm saying goodbye till next time.